Today I'm going to go through 10 top tips on how to pitch a kids' TV series.
Awesome!
Hello, I'm Georgina Hurcombe. I'm the Managing Director and Producer at Pot Paper City. Top tip number one is it an original idea? I think it's super important when pitching is to kind of look at what is the unique selling point. Is it a brand new idea? Is it something that's been done before? Or if it's something that's been done before, what's your unique spin on it? My second top tip is network, network, network. It's so important to network. So there's many great places that you can network if you're trying to get into children's TV or if you're trying to pitch an idea. So CMC is a great festival to go to. There's loads of people from the industry there, and that's based in Britain. There's Kids Screen in Miami, which is fantastic. Again, a big marketplace. There's MIP Junior, MIPCom and MIP TV in Cannes. And there's Annecy festivals. I'd say for me, those are like my top places to pitch if you're pitching an idea. When you're trying to break into kids' TV, it can be quite a daunting process. You need to get meetings. It can be quite difficult, especially if you don't have the connections. All these markets have speed meetings, which is great. So you can kind of rock up, you can register either before the festival or at the festival to do one-on-one meetings. And some of my first pitches were with great broadcasters such as Universal and Disney, where you literally do speed meetings. So they're like 5 minutes, and you kind of have your laptop or you have your pitch materials, and you've kind of got to pitch your idea. And that can be a really great way to make connections and also kind of experience the pitch process, because it does take time to kind of refine your pitching and the way that you kind of pitch.
Some of us just need more practice.
So if you're interested in networking or kind of where these events are, there's some really, really great resources. There's places like Animation UK, Animated Women UK is also really informative. And there's also loads and loads of industry books and press. So there's magazines like Kids Screen magazine, Animation magazine. There's other broadcast magazines that you can subscribe to, which also has a lot of these markets and useful information. And just keep an eye on different like Facebook groups as well. There's a lot of Facebook groups and forums where people talk about pitching and where to go to different markets. But yeah, it does take a while to kind of like break in and kind of build your network. But once you've built your network, you'll find that the industry is it's a very friendly place. We're all producing kids content, so I do find it very welcoming. My next top tip is to get a mentor. It's really important to have people to ask questions to. Doesn't matter what part of your career, if you're like senior or you're right at the beginning of your career, I think look for people that can mentor you. Now, how do you find those people? Well, LinkedIn is a great resource. I have been known to look through credits of films of people that are doing jobs that I've always wanted to do or like have experience that I'm interested in, and then look them up on LinkedIn, look them up on Twitter, and in the nicest way try and find them. So when approaching people to be a mentor, maybe reach out to them and just ask them a few questions. Ask if they've got time maybe for a Skype or a Zoom, or if they could answer a few questions over an email. If you're going to a market, so for instance, if you're going to CMC, which is in Sheffield, you could maybe say, do you mind meeting up for a coffee with me? And I'd just love to ask you a few questions. So yeah, just find people around you that are doing the work or a job role that you're interested in, and reach out to them and ask them for tips and tricks on kind of how they've got to their career. I always reach out to lots of my peers and ask them lots of questions. And again, because we're in the kids industry, I think everyone's really friendly. So we're in a really lovely industry to be in. So my next tip when pitching a kids' TV series is to think about not just the idea, which everyone wants to think about, but think about the money. How are you going to fund it? What's the schedule and what's the budget? And these are like chicken and egg situations, because you've got to have a schedule and you've got to have a budget, and they kind of work together. Don't just think about a brilliant idea, think about how's it actually going to happen? Like, who do you need and what's it going to cost? Because when you're pitching, people want to go, okay, here's the idea, and that the second question will be, what's the cost? How much is this? And sometimes they want to know per minute. So it does take a lot of time to kind of come up with your idea, but then try and get some realistic figures on what you think it's going to cost. And again, maybe go back to your mentor. If you've got a mentor, maybe they can help you with coming up with some ideas, or reach out to producers and other people that might also be able to give you information. When you're looking at the money, also please remember that it's very, very rare to get one person fund your whole entire show. So there are certain channels that will do that, but again, it's super rare. What you usually have to do is find, first of all, your broadcast anchor, so find the person that's kind of going to work with you, and then you have to kind of look for a distributor and lots of different pre-sales. So it's actually raising finance for a show is quite tricky. You have things like tax credits depending where you are. You might want to do a co-production with another studio in a different country. But yeah, it isn't necessarily a very straightforward process raising finance for kids TV. But you do really need to think about it with your ideas.
I can do this!
Okay, my next tip is proof is in the pudding. So when pitching, I think it's really important to have ideally a sizzle reel or a series Bible, or at least some really, really good drawings or examples of what your show or idea will look like. Some people do say that they can just sell it on the idea, but personally, I feel I like to see things. And I think a lot of commissioners want to see well executed ideas. So when I've always pitched in the past, I've always had full show Bibles. So I always think, especially if you're a smaller studio or an animator that's thinking about producing a show, is to really think about like your series Bible, and what that might include. So, you want information about your characters in it and images of your characters. You want information about your environments. You want kind of the stories that they're going to go on, and maybe examples of some of those scenes. I do think like the more you can kind of give is great. That said, you don't want to overdevelop either, because a lot of the time broadcasters also want to kind of be engaged and also have a creative say. So I would say present what you think is like the best kind of work that you can do, and again for the budget that you can afford to put towards it, because these things aren't cheap to create. But then also be open to feedback. So I think that's really important as well, just to kind of like listen to what the feedback is. Obviously, if you feel really passionately that it's going to look like this, and obviously stick to your guns. But if you're hearing the same thing, maybe think about, like from different broadcasters, maybe think about how you can implement some of that feedback into your next round of designs, or to your next kind of before your next market or your next pitch.
Yay!
Another top tip is timing. Sometimes an idea that you've got, it might not be the right time for it. So you might take it to market and say it's a robot show, and there's 10 other people pitching robot shows, and there's 10 other shows on TV at the moment with robots on. That doesn't mean that your robot show isn't a good idea, and it doesn't mean that your robot show is never going to go on air. It just means that maybe right now it's not the time for your robot show. Always ask the commissioner what they're looking for, and then have a few different ideas that you can kind of push towards them, and see what kind of feels like it's working with them. So it really depends kind of on timing, on what shows and what the commissioner's looking for. So my last top tip is try not to stress. It can be really stressful when you're trying to get an idea off the ground, or you're trying to get into animation. If you're pitching and you don't feel like you're getting there, then reach out again to your mentors, or reach out to other people in the industry, try and get advice, maybe like kind of regroup with other people and different peers, and then just kind of maybe tweak your ideas and then go back. Pop Paper City took years to get onto TV. If you really believe in your dream and you really believe in your vision, and I do believe that you can make it happen. So I think we're a really good example of a very, very small studio with a very big idea, spending years getting it into production. But it took a lot of hard work. It took a lot of persistence to kind of get it there. It was very, very challenging. It was like a roller coaster ride of like huge highs and massive lows. But if you believe in your idea, I do believe you can make it happen. But just kind of listen to all the other tips, and I hope they're really helpful. Like I said before, do read lots of industry magazines, and do feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn. Thank you.